This is Algebra 1, Term 6, Lesson 6, Frequency Tables. We'll start with a Desmos activity, and then we'll do two different activities in GeoGebra. So let's look at Desmos. This activity has 10 screens, and it's examining some real-life data. Be sure to take your time with this activity. It's designed to foster conversation and sense-making. So give kids plenty of time to look at the data and to make sense of it. So first they're given data. They have no idea what the data is about, and they are going to basically guess. They're going to list one thing they know, one thing they question, and then one context that might work for this data. So tell them just be creative. At this point, they're just guessing. So on this screen, they're going to use the data that is in the table to consider which of these statements are true. They're considering the males out of the total, the females out of the total, and then the number of females and the number of males. So they're trying to differentiate between a ratio and just a number. Then they're going to choose a statement that is not true according to the data, and then they're going to convince their classmates that this is not true. So as soon as they choose an answer, it's going to ask them to explain. In this table, they're given the totals for the male, totals for the female, totals for those that lived and died. And so they're given these numbers in the table, and they're asked to explain what they mean in this context. We are using two categorical variables, mortality and gender. For mortality, it's lived or died, and for gender, male or female. In this table, they're calculating relative frequency. So they're going to take a ratio of one number over the total in that category. In this case, we're doing rows, so we're doing the males first. So there's 367 males that lived out of a total of 1,731. Then they'll take the number of men that died and divide by the total and put it in the next column. One really nice thing about Desmos is the calculator is actually in the table, so they can type the ratio in the table and it will display the decimal like you see here. They're going to repeat the process by using columns. So they're going to take the first column that says lived, and they're going to do the ratio for male and female. Male's already completed, they'll do female next. Repeating the process in the next column for died. Now on this screen, they're given some context, and they're to choose the one they think best fits this data. Now, some of the kids may not know anything about particular things in this list, or they might. And I'm not going to go ahead to the next screen because it's going to reveal this answer, but we do want students to guess, and then after they know what this is about, they're going to work with the data some more. For slides 8, 9, and 10, it reveals the answer, so we're going to stop here. Let's go ahead and go back to our slides. The first task in slides is going to be a GeoGebra relative frequency task, and they're creating a table to fit the criteria that are given on the slide. So they need 32 secondary students, 24 elementary students, 25% of the secondary students need to meet the requirement, and 75% of the elementary students need to meet the requirement, and you'll see what I mean. So the first thing I tell them on the slide to do is simply go in here and move these around. So as you notice, as they move this number, then this number changes down here. And if they change this, see how it changes in the table. Total number of secondary students, number who meets the requirement. So once they get a hang of how the numbers are working, then they're going to actually create the table to match what's in their slide. Now in their notes, I've actually given them two additional questions. So if you'll look here, it says what percentage of the total students were secondary. So once they've created this and they put a screenshot of the table, they should be able to then use that table to find this answer. And the last question is what percentage of total students met the requirement. The last four screens are a different GeoGebra activity with absolute and relative frequencies. So for each of these, they're going to follow the same instructions. They're going to go to GeoGebra, work the problem. When they get it correct, they're going to basically create 3 screenshots and paste them onto this slide. When they go into GeoGebra, it gives them a scenario, and it asks them 2 questions about the scenario. It will always start with absolute frequencies. So the question is, how many students participated in the survey? And then the second is, there sufficient difference in the row conditional relative frequencies to statistically imply an association between having brown eyes and wearing red. They do have a check here up to 3, and once they get it correct, they can move to the next question. I don't know that the number correct will increase if they don't get it on the first one. They might have to do extra. Now, once they've answered their questions, they're going to go to relative frequencies, and it's going to change the table, and then they're going to go to graph. The students are taking 3 screenshots, and at least one of the 3 screenshots should have their answers showing and green check marks right next to those answers. When they finish a problem, a purple button will pop up on the right bottom corner that says New Problem. They'll click there to get their next problem. And they should have 3 graphs. Now, it does say in their notes, they may rearrange and resize to fit all the screenshots onto this slide. So feel free to shrink this text down as small as you need to, or they could just put their screenshots over the text if needed. Then they will repeat the process for 2, 3, and 4. There are a total of 4 of these problems on this particular GeoGebra task. And this concludes our frequency tables assignment. We only have one more assignment before our final exam. Y'all have a great day.